welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lost Sheep Podcast. I'm Nazario Pangallo here with
Evan Abear.
and
Cole Bissett.
this is episode number 87. We're getting closer and closer to the triple digits. Will be a very awesome time. I believe, Evan, you had calculated at some point when that will be. I'm not sure if we're still on track for that.
we missed a few weeks. So this is 87. That means we have 13 more episodes. So it's 10. We're 10 weeks out from our wedding, so it'll be 2 weeks after our wedding now if we stay consistent. So that'll be the first week of like July, maybe. The first week of August. Pardon me.
Your calculations had it actually originally if
On
we had stuck
on that week, yeah.
So
Really? No, I thought
yeah.
it was during school.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
according to my calculations, we may have to, depending on how consistent we are, and I'm looking at it, I will be on a cruise the week we were supposed to record this episode number 100, so it may be a different time. But according to calculations, it would be August 2nd as of right now.
Imagine
Where are you
Nazario tunes in
cruising?
on the top of a cruise
I
ship.
know. Where are you cruising to?
I'm going with my dad, my brothers, and my grandparents. They're big cruise people, and they've always wanted to go with us. So we're taking them, and we're going to Honduras, Cancun, somewhere else down there.
Where are you taking off from?
And we're taking off from New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
It'll be a fun trip.
Yeah.
But that's a long time away, folks. We're going to send her back to right now, and it is currently, when we are filming this, April 30th. This will be releasing on Sunday, May the 3rd, which means that we will be completely done with school for this semester. I will be graduated. Evan will be done with his first year of grad school, and Cole will officially be a senior undergraduate student. So a very exciting time here at the University of Alabama. So this will be tentatively, the last episode together in this room. It may happen again. It may not. We do not know. But so a very exciting episode coming up for y'all. Hopefully some fun nostalgia and reflection on the past 2.5 years of podcasting together. It's been quite a journey. But before that, finals week is over for myself. I know that. I don't know about y'all. I know Cole has one more tomorrow. Evan, I'm not sure if you have any more left. But how has your finals week been going, fellas? Evan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I got 2 finals tomorrow. They've been easy though. I mean, like most of our coursework is done. Today was really the only one that had any heavy impact on my grades. And it was open note, open book, open like internet. So not too worried about that one. Yes.
So I have a quick question that you can just give us a quick answer for.
Yeah.
But obviously you decided to stay at Alabama for this
Mhm.
MBA program for a good reason, for your future. But when you've been talking about these past 2 semesters, it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of, challenging aspects yet. So after 1 year, do you feel like your decision to pursue this has been valuable? Are you glad you did it?
No. Yeah.
Are you learning?
No, let me be clear. It definitely has been valuable, and I'm definitely learning things. I think that in terms of I complain because I came from a really heavy course load.
I mean, you did graduate with honors and in biology in 3 years,
yeah.
right?
So,
I mean, that makes sense.
the coursework I took was it was pretty heavy. So I think that coming from that and into less heavy coursework, or at least less work focused coursework, has been different. But I will say there's a lot of skills that I've gained the past year, or a lot of new technology and information that I've gained that I didn't have before. So yeah, it has been a worthwhile experience. Now, has the grading always been do I feel like this is kind of a charity thing where if you put in the work, you'll get an A or at least a B? Absolutely. I don't know. This is going to sound really bad, and I hope none of my classmates find this who are doing poorly, but I do not know how you get an A, below a B in our classes, because they are so teachers are so willing. Bar one we had this semester, our teachers are so willing for we will help you out, we will give you points back, come talk to us, come interact with us, all this stuff that if you have a C or below in a class, I'm shocked. And the first question I would ask you is does the teacher know that you don't want to be? And if they said, oh, well, I haven't talked to the teacher yet, I'd be that's why, right? Because for people who are either engaged in the class or talking to the teacher, like, having a discussion, like it is extraordinarily hard to do poorly. But it has been worthwhile. And plus, to boot, some of the reason I stayed put here was because, like, obviously Caroline and I were dating at that time, and
They're no longer dating, folks.
we're no longer dating. But had I gone to, like, home, say, like, had I gone home to Houston, Caroline would have had to choose to either stay in Atlanta or stay in Tuscaloosa, or, like, strike out and try to get a job in Houston, which is, like, that's a lot of uncertainty. And so, a little less uncertainty here. This is beginning to be a long story, off a simple question. This is why you don't toss me a question out the gate. Cole, I'll go to you. You have one final tomorrow. Yeah. We've kind of talked about this. So how's your final week experience thing been?
Yeah, so as Evan's talking about, he has exited the journey that I am on currently with school. He was biology, I'm engineering. Pretty similar heavy course load from both of us. Not same type of content, but just a lot of work.
I was going to say pretty similar course load.
just a lot of work. I had 6 finals this semester, technically. I took 2 last week.
5 down.
Yep, 5 down. I took 2 last week. One was a lab final, got 100 on that. That was just, we had to code like a PLC and bring it in and show them that it worked. So that was nice. And then I had a sociology final, did all right on it. It's fine. And then I had 2 finals yesterday, 1 final Tuesday, and then I've got
Tuesday
one more
at 8 a.m.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Sociology 101 online.
202,
Oh,
depth study. Yeah.
Boom.
why are you taking that?
Why? Because it's a depth study, and I just want to knock it out. It's a social and behavioral sciences elective.
Oh, it's like your what do they call that? Like history 101, 102.
Yeah, but
Like your series or whatever.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I have to take the first one and then the
Currents?
second one, and I was like,
Yeah.
sociology sounds cool, and it's online. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been pretty good. Just a ton of studying, honestly. Starting from like when did I start going to Houston? Was that Saturday or Sunday?
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks. And yeah, probably Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah,
I think it was, Saturday was your first day.
Normally when I do it, I like incrementally study for like a couple hours on like the following week. So like Monday I studied for like a couple hours, and then Tuesday a little bit, and so I would scatter it. But once Saturday, like the weekends hit before finals, I'm like in the library nonstop. So I had to study a lot Saturday and Sunday and Monday just to focus up for these 3 classes. One of them I was pretty nervous about because it had a pretty heavy weight bearing on my grade, and I did pretty well on it, so I was excited. But yeah,
Let's go.
now I'm here. Led adoration last night, which is great. So feeling good.
And so you, Mr. I'm done. I'm finished with the world. What's life like?
What's life like?
Yeah.
Well, I finished it about 3.5 hours ago, and that was pretty exciting. But
do you even have a class? You have nothing tomorrow. That's right. You have nothing.
Nothing.
You're
Done.
literally done
Done.
school.
Did
Did
What
he
the
just
heck?
ask if you had class tomorrow?
Yeah,
Interesting.
class tomorrow.
Dude, he's
Interesting.
done school.
done completely. So very, very exciting. But I'm doing what you are doing, Evan, going to grad school. So there's still more school involved.
When do you graduate?
But Saturday night, 7 p.m.
Ooh. Yikes.
It's gonna be a blast. So
Yeah.
cannot wait for that. Probably the worst graduation time you could probably get.
Yeah,
but,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. But I'm excited to close things out, and Cole has something to say.
I don't have anything.
Never
to say.
mind,
I
Cole
think
does not
my
have something
teacher
to
is
say.
currently updating my exam grades. So
Oh.
just got a notification. But keep going.
Cole is watching. Excuse me. Somebody take over.
Anyway, so without further ado, and after those long introductions, we will hop into our quote of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, the quote of the week.
Yeah, folks. So it's been 87 episodes of this podcast. So we are doing a little bit of a celebration episode in a way, one that we can look back on some things, have some fun nostalgia. And Cole brought this in and had the idea. He's also very excited about his exam grade that he got. So before the quote, we're gonna give Cole about 5 seconds to tell us his exam grade before he goes into the quote.
Yeah. So this class I did was extremely nervous about. And finish with a 98 on my final exam, which is absolutely insane. So got an A in that class, so that's huge. But anyways,
He didn't cheat, people. I promise
nope,
you.
not at all. not at all. Those are very
Cole doesn't
great
actually
That
cheat. It's not
sounds-
possible.
that
They're
sounds
on
super,
paper. but-
That sounded super sketchy, guys. I promise he did not like out of the blue,
Yeah, with
like
the
out of
quotations.
nowhere. Yeah.
But I brought the quote for this week, and it was kind of hard because I was thinking about it this week, and then Nazario finally, motivated the group with his normal text message of, "Do we have a quote yet?" And I had been kind of searching a little
Actually,
bit here and there.
My wording was a little different.
It was? What was it this
I
week?
said, "Do any of y'all have any ideas
Ideas.
for this
There it
week?"
is.
I wanted to see if anyone was, super motivated. To
Wonderful
jump
ideas.
on it.
Anyone
Yeah.
got any wonderful ideas?
Yes.
I know Nazaria and I had been talking about, like, what are we going to do for, potentially one of our last in-person episodes? Like, it's kind of
That's
a...
before we get to like a couple years down the line when we're doing like massive conferences.
Yeah,
and stuff
when we're
together, so-
huge and at Steubenville. But, yeah. So, I had been looking here and there trying to find something, and I figured we'd kind of go back to our roots a little bit with one of our favorite people to quote. And Evan had some input on this a couple, not even, it was like maybe 10 episodes ago, where he was like,
Nah,
No.
bro, it's been longer than that.
It has
since we
definitely
talked
been
about
longer
that.
than 10
More?
episodes. Yeah.
Well, Evan was like, I don't understand why we quote this guy all the time. He's not like a, like as Catholics, he's not a Catholic person, but he's quoted so much in Catholic theology. And so this person said, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." This is by none other than C.S. Lewis. And I'll read it one more time. "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." Nazario, would you like to take us off here on this
Yep.
journey?
Sure. So I think it's one of the funniest things in hanging around Cole is when he'll go back or someone mentions like our old episodes and Cole just cannot help
I
himself but
literally
say
knew this would happen.
he'll say our audio was so bad back then, like it was not good, and I'm sitting there like, Cole, it was perfectly fine. And so I think about this quote and I'm like, you can't go back and change it. But Cole gets very he doesn't get like, oh, he wants to go change it. He just gets a little bit embarrassed,
I do.
about the past. And for me, I'm just like, that's a part of the journey, that's a part of the story, and we would not be where we are if not for that. But I think this is a beautiful quote in just all walks of life, and a great teaching about you cannot control anything that has already happened because it's already happened. You literally cannot go back and do anything about it. But you know what you can control, and it's the right now. So people like to get focused on, the past or the future, but the only way to affect the future, the only way to change the future is to do something right now. And it also benefits your past if you do that, because you look back on the moment that you decided to change your future, to change your ending, and you see how your past has a different type of vibe to it. Because you have to learn how to look back with joy and with appreciation of where you came from. But you can't do that if you don't ever start making the steps right now to make a change, to become better, and to start striving for more. So a little bit there, just right off the bat, I'm going to throw it back to Mr. Bissett to see what your first thoughts are, Cole.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like C.S. Lewis is going to the other side of, life is a journey, it's not about the journey, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, which is like
Third
the
time's
polar.
the charm. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. But, it's interesting to view it from the perspective of looking backwards. I think a lot of the time, myself included, we all fall victim to the mindset of like getting caught in, like where we've come from, and we get so focused on, okay, this is what the podcast was like then. And for us, the reason, I picked this quote is because it's a good quote for us to kind of sit for a second, reflect on where we've been, look at where we're going, and see where we are right now. And it's exciting. It is an exciting thing to look back, see where we started. Because, I do say, yeah, the audio is terrible. It sounded really bad.
It was perfectly fine, folks.
I remember
Spam the comments. Tell
clipping-
them it was fine.
I remember clipping the reels, and the audio would be corrupted, and it sounds like we're in a cave, and it's so terrible. Or looking
Cave
back
live
at our
stream?
thumbnails, and Nazar and I are shaking hands in front of a glowing
Dude,
TV screen.
that is actually one of my most favorite thumbnails because it's so boomed.
It's
That's so funny.
It's so, looking at all our setup, looking at where we've come, and looking at where we're at right now, the journey we've taken with the podcast, the people we've met through it, the people I've heard stories from about how this certain episode was really meaningful to them, and it helped change their perspective on things. And it's really cool. And so that's why I chose it, to kind of take a moment for us to reflect on where we've been. I mean, one of the coolest parts of the reflection of our past on the podcast is the addition of a member, actually, and he's sitting right over there. And so I'm gonna pass it over to the member that joined in the middle of our
Yeah,
show.
Evan, I'm gonna start you off with a question too to get
Whoa,
this.
Ooh, I like
okay,
this
rolling.
Okay,
idea.
but I won't answer your question right away because I have a lot of thoughts
we'll go
boiling
like
around.
10 different positions. But my main question I want you to answer is, why in the world would you want to join a podcast with the two of us?
That's a good
You know,
question.
like why
That's a
did you
good
choose? Because
question.
I actually don't know if I
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
ever asked you or know the answer to why you
Yeah.
wanted to join. You kind of just were like, I'd like to join. So
Because
Yeah.
you know, Evan, if you don't know, was our discipler and our Bible study
is.
leader.
I still say is.
Yeah, is our
Is,
discipler,
yeah.
of course. And led us for most of our college experience, and still will continue to lead us. And randomly decided to hop on. So I think Nazaria's question
Yeah.
is totally valid.
Yeah.
here.
So let me go first thoughts first. MJ shout out, make a change, right? Looking at the man in the mirror.
Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, shout out. And then the other thing that, as he was talking, this reminded me of is, and I don't remember what the actual quote was, but something about we can't change how. This was a quote we did. So for starters, there you go. But we can't change how we act. We can change how we feel. And we had the whole react versus
I remember
emotion
that episode.
and
that was
remember.
a
And
fun
that episode was interesting, and it kind of felt like we were talking in circles a little bit. And I'm sure if we went back and listened to it, we would be like, "What were we talking about?" But immediately when he started talking about, like, we can't really change anything, but where we are currently, this quote, what this quote says, it kind of brought that up for me. And I think that, like, this is not the end of I just want to be clear, this is not the end of the podcast. We're just having like a more reflective tone for this episode, because when like y'all both started talking, I was like thinking in my head, I was like, this kind of sounds like they're gonna be like,
sounds really sad.
and this will be it. This will be the last time you hear from us. No, I think that what this first brings to my mind is, like, you can choose what the end is, right? Sort of. That's what we believe. Like, we have free will. So I think, and this, I'm just going to stay in the C.S. Lewis vein because it's. I mean, he wrote it, so this makes sense for him. Have y'all ever seen the movie The Voyage of the Dawn Treader?
Yes.
Yes, and read the book.
Okay.
The book first.
Yes. Of course. But there's a specific scene. So they're standing at the end of the movie. They like ride through all the lilies on the boat with Reba Cheap and all the people, and they're standing at this like big wave, right? That's like got the sand. And Aslan tells the kids that Peter and the older sister's name, who I can't remember her
It's not
name,
Lucy.
Susan.
Yeah.
Peter and Susan won't come back, right? Like, they've outgrown it, right? It's time for them to go back home. And they're like, Lucy and Edmund are like, well, what about us, right? Like, what's going to happen to us? Or maybe Edmund is going away. I feel like Peter and Susan don't come back after the first one, whatever. Anyway, the point is that, like, Aslan gives Lucy the choice and says, hey, you can never come back if you want to, if you don't want to come back with your siblings, but it's up to you, right? You can choose where you are. This can be the middle, this can be the end, this, that's up to you. And so that's kind of the first thing I think about here, is that, like, as much as we can't change, say, where we start, or you can't go back to where you start, you can always think of this as a new start. And it's almost what I said to you, Cole, and I'll wrap this into your question, when you kind of asked me, or you said something before we started recording about how I kind of joined in the middle. And for me, it's not the middle, right? Like, because I understand that the podcast was there before I joined, right? But for me, that was the start of my journey, right? So in a sense, I couldn't change the beginning, right? Because the beginning had occurred without me. But I could change where I started and what the ending is going to be, right? And so that's my first thoughts. Now, for your question, when I originally joined, we were in the throes of discipleship, and I think that one of the best things for like why I initially wanted to was discipleship is good, and like that's fantastic, but I wanted to spend time with y'all and more do incarnational discipleship, which I'm sure I've talked about here, but it's just common, like it's common living life with other people. And so I felt like what better way than to like be able to have a structured conversation with them where we talk about like anything. And I will say like the first few episodes is probably pretty awkward. And a few things have been born of fruit of that. That's no longer like my goal with the podcast, right? I'm not here just for incarnational discipleship. Like I enjoy having these conversations. I like doing it. I do podcasts more for the intrinsic motivation side than the extrinsic motivation, right? Unlike Cole, and this again may be unpopular for our viewers, I could care less if your life is changed by what I have to say, right? But I really like sitting here and having a conversation with y'all, right, about these things. So, it just happens to be recorded and posted online. Now, I would say that's more the case of I like having the conversation still, but I also know that what I'm saying is important and it could potentially impact someone. And understanding that even though the reach is tinier than, say, I get on stage and give a Sikh talk, obviously that's a bigger audience than what we have here, but like this still affects people who it's meant to affect, and it impacts the people who it's meant to impact. I also think that I thought a little bit that I could teach y'all things through this, and shape your lives a little bit, which, I mean, we've all shaped each other's lives, like it or not, right? In not only like the podcast, but just in regular life, right? We
would never have played disc golf if it wasn't for Cole.
Yeah. But just who we are now is because of the people we meet and the things we do, right? And so without these relationships, right? Without Nazario and Cole, without Cole and Evan, without Evan and Nazario, without Evan and Cole, things like this, whatever, like we wouldn't be the same people we are. And so again, I bring back to the quote of can't affect how it started, right? My intentions at the start may have been like purely academic. Oh, I want them to learn something. I want to do this thing with them. But where I am now is constantly changing. Why I'm doing what I'm doing now is changing. There's always a reason, but it's changing. And then how it finishes, right? Did I foresee that this was going to be like, we were going to become fantastically good friends, and like half the time on the podcast, we would be like completely arguing, and then we put down the mics after some of these episodes that we argue. I'll say argue. I'll use the term argue.
Debate. I like
debate. Yeah. We'll put down the mics and we'll be like, all right, you want to go get lunch? Like, it's like this persona comes out. Like we debate for like an hour, and then the mics go down and we're like, all right, what do y'all want to hang out? Like, do y'all want to do something?
Yeah.
And so like, could I have foreseen that like 2 years ago or whatever, right? When a year and a half ago, when we kind of started this, right? When we started talking about this, like, no. But am I happy it's where it ended up? Yeah, sure. Would I change it? Probably not, right? Could I change it now? No, it's in the past. And so I'll end my opening thoughts. Good night. I'll end my opening thoughts with this. A very wise man told me, he might be listening, so that's why I have to say this. A very wise man told me, we sit in a car and we spend so much of our time looking in the rearview mirror, when the windshield is right there and it holds all that's in front of us. And the rearview mirror only holds this little bit that we've left behind. Why do we do that? Why do we do that?
And we haven't done this quote on the podcast because
it just got told to me 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that.
It was just told to me 2 days
that's
ago.
Very profound.
By Father Moo. Of course.
That's
Of
a
course.
baller
Yes.
Father Moo
Yes.
quote. That makes
Yes.
total sense.
Guys, if you don't know, we had Father Miguel on the podcast 2 years ago. I'm sure that audio is just wonderful, right, Cole?
Oh, it is something. We have one mic in the middle of a table with 3 people. Christianity
I
is
will
an action word,
say-
everybody.
I will say, Evan, Caitlin likes to say that she never dated me when I had a mullet and a mustache. So one of her favorite things. Evan, in a similar vein with the podcast, can say he was never really a part of it with bad audio. He came along and kind of expanded our audio by, getting us to go out and get better equipment.
Yeah.
So
I will also. There was a few episodes where, like, I remember the first mailbag episode,
true.
or I guess maybe it was the second
I know
mailbag
exactly what you're
episode. Like
talking
my
about.
first mailbag episode where we set it up on the table over
Yeah.
here. You're on optics, I guess. I'm pointing over the right direction. I hope. Where we set up on
Yeah.
that table behind Nazario Cole right over there, and we like had a bowl and then we had the microphone like
Just standing up in the middle.
standing up in the middle of the
Visuals.
table, and halfway through it fell down, and we had to like the thingy was broken, so we had to like put a piece of paper under it and like kind of like hold it up
Yeah.
so it would stay level. So I mean, I was experienced a little bit less. I was concerned with the audio and more of just like the hassle of like figuring out how we were gonna do this, especially when we had a guest and we used to have the Scarlet Studio
Yeah.
mics. And it was like we'll be passing them back and forth and all this stuff. So
Yeah, and then what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and I used to have to spend way more time trying to figure out if the audio is actually good. Now
Yeah.
we have StreamYard, and then, the audio sounds pretty good. I think,
Yeah.
right, Cole?
We've had a journey with audio. It's quite literally one of the hardest things to manage because sound waves are always changing, and it fits to the room, and it's
profound.
Do y'all
Yeah.
remember when the fan and the air conditioner in here?
Oh
you
my
could,
gosh.
hear it.
It
on
We'd
the
was-
hear
mic?
them. Yeah.
something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's
Now we
really
just
cool
sweat.
to see where we've come.
Yeah.
One of my big questions that I wanted to ask the two of y'all when we came in is looking at, I guess it would be freshman year for us, sophomore year for you. When you first got on the podcast, whenever it was. No, it would be junior year
yeah.
for you.
No, it wouldn't be because I was on as a.
You were on as a guest. That's right.
You're
Oh,
on as a
wait,
guest
hold on.
Is that
our
sophomore
sophomore year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was a
For
junior.
the first time, because I was
Yeah.
on once by myself and then once with Caroline.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
know
It
when
was.
that
It
was,
was
though.
my junior year. That's right. That's
But
right.
I was looking at that.
It feels like so long ago.
You could use that as your baseline, or even as a starting point of college as your baseline, whatever it is. How have you been shaped and formed in your faith life and your Christianity to the person that you are now? How has the podcast helped? How have
Yeah.
being with each other helped?
By the podcast or just in general?
We can just do. Well, let's just do both. Yeah,
Both. Okay.
you can factor the podcast into it though a little bit.
Did you hear his question?
Yes, I found. Oh wait, what in the world is going on here? Okay, here we go. Sorry, folks. Just I was looking at through our
There we
YouTube.
go.
Okay, this is the first one, and then we had Caroline on the episode after.
Oh, the deadliest poison of our time, indifference, a
This-
year ago,
And then you
my
did
name
one
is
just
spelled
with Evan and
wrong.
Cole.
We spelled his name wrong. Really?
Or, yeah,
On
just
this
Evan
one,
and
look at
Cole,
that.
and then
Did
Evan
Caroline
the
not
whole
read
time.
the ship one, the story about the ships? And
That
the
was
sailors?
Caroline's.
How to sail your ship.
That's what it
Okay.
But yes,
So-
yes, okay.
Let's see. How is the podcast formed? You want to take this one first because I feel like I've just talked for a little bit.
I think one of the first things, well, not the first things, one of the main things about the podcast that's interesting and kind of shaped me is like working in like a timeline, like group, having to like collaborate and communicate with each other and like figure out schedules. I know that's not like a faith thing, but it is like a first thing I think about is like how we have to adjust to each other, how some of us has to bring the quote, one person has to bring the practical prayer practice, one person has to bring the shepherd, and how this different works, and you have to work in a team. And I can't lie that at the beginning, like there was definitely times, and I mean there's still times occasionally where like there's
It's
real
frustrating.
frustration in
It
groups.
really does. Especially over the
that's-
summer. If
Yeah.
you want to see a true group chat freak out, look at the
Mhm.
summer group chat.
And I
it's
think
gonna be worse this year.
I think that's been a great part of it though. Like you have to learn how to work in a group. I mean, you could have a solo podcast, but like where's the fun in that? I mean there is fun in that, but you know what I mean.
Flashback to Nazario's solo episode
Yeah,
on
yeah.
his book reading.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say that's less of a podcast, more of just like insane
we
rant.
have we
Yeah.
have like one solo episode and it's Nazario's.
yes, sir. Go back and watch, fellas. But I think that's been an important part is to learn how to work in the team, and then like figuring out our differing roles has been important. and helped shape us into, like, we know what each person is kind of bringing to the table in terms of the roles now. We know what's going to happen a good amount. Like, we know in some form or fashion Cole's going to bring a definition and a question for us, which is beautiful. Like, that's his role. And then we know, like, what Evan's probably going to go on rant that he finds at some point in the podcast.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I'm trying to think of myself as my own role. I know I edit the podcast. Do you have any?
Rosario loves going into
You
the
gotta make a
psychological
sports
side of
reference.
things, or a sports reference.
gotta
make a
Either
sports
way,
reference.
that's his polls. He'll go into the minds, into those reactions.
You know, we try to, but I think that's been one part of it, and that's, you know, as our minds go, Cole. Like, that's our comfortable spot that we've all can reach. But I think that's one of the best parts about both of y'all is you both put all of us in an uncomfortable position as well. Like, Cole will throw us a question that we don't expect, or Evan for some reason will just take the quote into some random form that nobody
Or
expects or
disagree
disagrees with it. Like, no reason. We're like, why are you
church
disagreeing with
teaching?
this?
I disagree.
Our
So-
heresy check button.
Yeah, so just the different roles has been really cool to see, and how we have developed into that throughout the time. I think it's been some of the ways that it's shaped all of us.
I think the most forming bit of the podcast, for me at least, has just been like learning how to disagree well.
And also when to admit that you were, you know,
Yeah,
all of us
yeah,
willing to
yeah.
admit that, I've just mistaken. I do agree with you. I was just being
Yes,
goofy.
yes.
It happens all the
Or
time.
and I'll say so. Caroline and I were, and put us on blast, but Caroline and I were arguing about something the other day, and like at the end of it, we were both like, we're saying the same thing. Like we're
Happens plenty of times.
like we are saying the same thing. It's just in different words, and we're so like caught up with each other that we're just like not realizing that we're doing the same thing. And that's like, so being like doing pre-Cana, about to be married, whatever.
Yes.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, has been formative in that regard, but also like learning to disagree and like state your point clearly and concisely.
Yep.
And it's not only like you said, it's not only a faith thing. Like, we've learned to do that well with faith, right? Like with certain points of our faith. Not saying we disagree, but like with, you know, other things, like, oh, here's what I don't understand about this teaching, right? Whatever. Cool. But also like personal lives, right? That helps tremendously. I would say the second thing that I kind of want to touch on for formation is just like, I don't know, like the good of it, getting out of my shell of it, right? That's the good of it. The bad of it is it's awkward sometimes. But like when people are like, "Oh, you're on a podcast," like I told you all the story about my classmate in the MBA who asked about, like, I was wearing the Lost Sheep shirt one day, and she was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you know, it's a podcast that I do." And she was like, "Oh, wow, you're in a podcast? Like, that's crazy." And it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, yeah, like it's kind of weird to talk about like my faith podcast in the middle of our MBA class when like everybody's listening. But like it's one of those things where I just got to say like, I'm on a podcast, and we take quotes and we relate them to Christian and Catholic theology, like that, you know, that's what we do. And she was like, "Wow, that's actually super cool. Like, I want to give it a listen to." And so like being able to come out of the shell a little bit and like be more forward with people about it. And I definitely like still want to do it. I still want to do it to a greater degree. Like, I want to be the one to approach it and say, "Hey, you should listen to my podcast. Like, you should listen to the podcast I'm on." I think it's like a really cool thing. And what I kind of want to do is much like a kind of like an intro thing. Like we need to do like intros, like an intro episode.
Yeah.
And I know
a little 2-minute clip, a little advertisement.
Maybe not
you throw
like
on
2
Spotify.
minutes, but like, yeah, like 2 minutes or something like that for an ad. But like, I'm more talking about like an episode, like a 30-minute episode where it's just like us explaining like
The podcast.
how we got here, what the podcast is, and like who we
It's a
are,
great idea.
basically,
That's a
right?
great idea.
Love it.
Because
Let me,
I
write
knew
that down.
like a few months ago we had the same idea, but we wanted to do it as a reel,
Yeah.
right? But like an easy 20 to 30 minute approachable video that like people can click on and go like, you know, like we tag it on our front page, kind of like I was looking at Bruzel. Do you know who Bruzel is? No? You know?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a whiskey guy anyway. Bruzel is a whiskey YouTuber, but he has like videos clipped of like his like most popular videos or like his videos from certain places. So he'll have like the Nashville collection, the yada 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 collection, things like that. But like pinning that video so that people can see like, oh, I'm coming onto the podcast for the first time. Like, this is what we're about, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I like that a lot.
But I think those have been the two most things, and of course, like getting into new activities with you, like Nazario said, actually, like disc golf has been a really fun experience. I'm super sad that we're not going to be able to play after this. Maybe we'll see, possible. But like, yeah, that's been a fun experience. Or like getting to just do this, getting to talk to
All
new
the people
people.
we've had on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Sam Sumperek.
Well, I talked to Sam Sumperek pretty much. I can talk to him normally.
Talking about a new person. Oh, Andrew Goldstein?
Oh, Andrew Goldstein, like that, like having conversations like those where it's like,
And the future one that we have that's going to come out
yes,
this summer, hopefully.
like
Yeah.
those are just awesome, right? I want to continue. Like those are the ones that I enjoy. I love getting people on that we know, but it's like I can have this conversation with you, like
Yeah.
on a Tuesday in the Savings Center, right? On a regular Tuesday, not a Tuesday where we're recording. But like a person who we don't see, Andrew Goldstein, people like that, where it's like, oh man, like I don't get to have this conversation with you because maybe I don't know who you are, but also B, I would never like approach this conversation with you. Like those are so cool.
Mhm.
I really wish that those Mormon missionaries I invited that one time
That'd have
had
been
said
so
yes.
fun.
That would have been fun. That would have been a good. I don't think maybe I did.
Yeah, you already
I
told
feel
me.
like I
You told
did
us.
talk about
Yeah.
Yeah, you
this
did.
on the
Yeah,
pod,
you
but
did.
yeah, that would have been like. I
Yeah.
would, dude. I would have ate that episode up.
Yeah.
So if
I
there's
would've
anyone
loved
out there that wants to collab, shout out.
Yeah. Even down to like we got to get your dad on.
Yeah, we've been trying to get that.
Like we
going
got to
for a
get your
minute.
dad on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even like Caitlin was on one, but I wasn't here.
No, she
I don't know if we could ever get her on. Honestly,
actually
Yeah.
on,
Yeah. Camera shy.
a
Hey,
little
what
bit.
can we say?
That's okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah. I guess for me, this podcast has formed me in a lot of ways.
Hey Cole, how's this podcast form you? Sorry.
Cole, how's this podcast shaped you?
Yeah.
shaped me, formed me,
Moved your heart, if
let's
you
see.
will.
I think it's helped me embrace, because a lot of my role in this podcast is, I'm the media guy. What I do is my goal is to basically sell our podcast, and so like Evan was saying earlier, the mindset I have to have for that, not fully, but it is, I need to get this out to people to hear, because I'm hoping by posting it that it will reach the people that it needs to be able to reach, that it can reach those people who need to hear it. And so a lot of my mindset, with diving into that role has been, okay, how can I get this to people? And so all the time I'm trying to come up with ideas. It gets a little sidebarred during the school year because of school, but when summer rolls around, most of the time I get pretty productive on it again. And it's been really cool because it's allowed me to talk to a lot of people about the podcast so that I wouldn't normally talk to about the podcast. And people all the time will come up to me and they'll be like, how's the podcast? They're normally referring to like viewership, like how is it doing? And so that's my first little input back is, like the viewership's pretty good. I said, we're on a steady uphill and that's okay. It's a journey. We're not stagnant, but we're not,
Currently at 176 subscribers.
we are,
200 would be pretty cool.
are,
Yeah.
we are moving still.
We
and
have 2
that's
more
exciting.
videos than subscribers. Shout
Do we
out.
really? Oh, all right. Well, that's cool. So we get a subscriber an episode. So shout out you guys. And so I always go with, I'm like, yeah, the viewership's doing all right. We're still moving forward. That's okay. But like the most important part, and I said it doesn't really even matter to me though, because the coolest part is that I get to do this every week. And it's been the dream of mine to be on a podcast with people. And I remember coming into college and I mentioned that to Nazario and he was like, oh, I've always wanted to do that too. And I was like, no way, actually? And he was like, yeah. And so we talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. And we're like, I wonder if we'll actually ever do this thing. And he's like,
We didn't talk about it that long, to be honest with
I
you. It
thought
only
we
took us
did.
1 semester to
Yeah.
get it rocking and rolling.
well, I mean, we started talking about it over the summer. But yeah, it really did take us. I mean, we had that one semester. It was like, how would you even do this? We don't have microphones. And Nazario's like, that's my Christmas present this year. I'm going to ask for it. And he did. And it showed up. And we started recording. And it has been truly a blessing. I think it's been cool for me because it gives us an opportunity to talk about things that we normally don't get a chance to talk about. It's not every week you get to spend truly an hour of time, diving into Catholicism with a group of guys. And I know we get that discipleship, but it's also cool because, a whole part of the reason that I was like, when Evan was first wanting to come on, I was like, perfect. It's like I would love for this podcast to be just like our discipleship, and for us to be able to have normal conversations about things involving our faith and to share that with others. Because we'll talk about things in discipleship, and I'm like, it would be so cool if other people could hear like this conversation, because I know how transformative it is for me, and it's translated over the podcast very well. So for that experience, I'm really grateful. And so I think it's formed me a lot in developing a solid prayer life, just authentic friendship, and seeing the journey, being more outgoing, being willing to just talk to people.
I'll say
But
50-50 as well. Like some of the discipleships we've had
Some
have been whomped, to say the least. So
Yeah, and if you have been watching us for a long time or maybe a short time, we've developed a form of how we do the podcast, an order of things, more organization.
and we still don't know the order. Funny enough.
Them two don't know the order. And with that, we're
Nobody
going
knows
to
the
jump
order.
into our next section.
Ladies and gentlemen, the practical prayer practice of the week.
Yeah, so shout out Cole Bissett for making all those transitions. Cole, I don't remember when you did that. That might have been like
End
a
of summer
year?
thing.
Okay.
that was
Very
because we
summer.
came back, and I remember the first time putting on the headphones, and it was
And
like
Evan was like,
a
"Oh,
million
dang it, I wish
Yeah.
we had Nazario record the
volume.
voiceover
We-
with just his voice."
Yeah, we used to do, we would make the sounds ourselves, like, the
Really,
practical
just
prayer practice
Nazario
of
would
the
do
week.
the sound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
honestly,
cool.
and
I
we
did it
loved
a few
it.
times. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did a few
Well,
well, you
times.
did a few
Yeah,
times for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Cole, you did
I did it
couple
once.
times. Once, okay,
Yeah.
okay. But then you made the transition, so
Boo.
they
And
are
it
your
is
my voice, so I've been
They
doing it
just
every
edit
time
it a
since
little
then.
bit. So, but yeah, we've developed a little bit of a format of how we want to do things now. So, with that, we're gonna jump into our practical prayer practice of the week. And folks, I'm gonna let you into a little insight. We struggled with thinking of a practical prayer practice and shepherd before the episode today. That does not mean that this practical prayer practice or shepherd is any less than any of the other ones. But it just took us a little bit more time to do. So we may have chosen a little bit of a cop out here with our practical prayer practice. So it's simply just Eucharistic adoration. So this week, I don't know where you're at. I don't know the last time you've been to adoration. It might have been last night at Spirit and Truth here at Alabama. It could have been years since you've last gone. But just make an effort this week to go back wherever your adoration chapel is, whenever your church has times to have Eucharistic adoration, to go and sit there in the presence of Jesus, fully present in the Eucharist for whatever amount of time that you feel like the Holy Spirit is calling you to. It could be 30 seconds. It could be 2 hours. That might be a little bit extreme, but I'm just throwing out numbers. And whatever the Holy Spirit calls you to just sometime this week to do that. And yeah, that's the simple practical prayer practice of the week. I know that has been one of the keys to all of our times here at Alabama is having Eucharistic adoration available literally at all times at the Adoration Chapel. So if y'all want to, look back on your experience in prayer with Eucharistic adoration real quick during your time here at UA, and how has it affected you, and how that can impact us in our practical prayer practice. What do you guys think?
The other thing I'll say is that all churches have tabernacles. And so even if you don't go to benediction and exposition, a true, I'm doing air quotes right here, a true Eucharistic adoration that, is something, in a monstrance or whatever, going into church and sitting in front of the tabernacle, the Eucharist is in there. Christ is in there present. Well, Christ is around us fully present all the time, but Christ is in there in the flesh fully present, right? So don't forget that. And that's an important addendum. People often ask, a church is just a church until Mass takes place in it. I'm like, well, no, not really, because there's only maybe 2 times a year that a church doesn't have actual consecrated hosts in the tabernacle, so we should show it reverence. But Eucharistic adoration is so important, and just the state of the grace it gives you from just simply sitting in the presence of it is vast and immeasurable.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the best blessings of college by far was getting to be involved with the music ministry here, particularly for Spirit and Truth, and having an hour a week dedicated every week to adoration. It's been really transformative for me in my prayer life, and it's also really cool to see how that hour affects other people as well. I had several people come up and be like, that hour was so needed last night for exam week, and it was like, you just feel truly at peace during that time. So a good full solid hour of Eucharistic adoration can change. It's worth more than 1,000 human lives. Is that what it was? It's JP2?
Yeah, absolutely. I have no idea.
1,000 years of human life.
Jamie, could we
human
pull that up?
achievement. Well, I think Rebecca actually posted this on the group me the other day. So let me look it up really quickly. She said, here it is.
An hour spent in front of the Eucharist is more valuable than 1,000 lives spent in service to others.
Close. A holy hour in front of the Blessed Sacrament is worth more than 1,000 years of human glory.
Oh,
Padre
so
Pio.
close. Yeah.
So, and it's so true. It's worth all of that and all the more. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and with that, we're gonna move on. Shoot, guys, I messed it up. Give me 2 seconds. I don't have the right file in the chat right now.
Bom, bom. Well,
Evan and I can keep talking.
Here it goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Shepherd of the Week.
I'm so sorry to everyone that was listening on headphones. Your ears just got absolutely blasted by that. Oh my goodness. Technical difficulties over here from me. So, yep, I put my hand up. That one's on me. But our Shepherd of the Week, I will let Evan start this off because he met this person before any of us. Cole and I weren't even on campus when he first met this person. So I'll throw it over to Evan for our Shepherd of the Week.
yeah, as Nazaria said, we're kind of struggling for a Shepherd of the Week this week. So one of you said, "Who's a person that connects us all?" Very
I think you said that,
ponderingly.
Evan, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I think it was
definitely
me.
didn't say
Oh,
that.
okay.
I think Cole said that. Yeah. So our shepherd of this week is Alex Gruchot. Alex was my Bible study leader and now is a very good friend. He's the best man at my wedding. Yeah, shout out. But just a guy who's constantly leading with faith in everything that he does and striving for excellence in his personal life, in his faith life, in his interactions with others, like really, really does. And I think for me, a really good model, a really good model of like what being a Catholic man looks like. And again, always with Shepherd of the Week, we say, like we're human, right? This does not mean that like I'm always looking at Alex. I know him very well, like, and being like, oh yes, I want to emulate everything he does, because he makes mistakes and he makes dumb decisions and things like that, right? He's a goober, but an excellent model of what Catholic men should be striving for. And the reason we picked him and the reason he connects all of us is Alex, similar to you two and me, was my discipler. So that's how I got my start doing focus things around Bama Catholic, and how I came to meet y'all ultimately through that butterfly effect. So he is kind of the godfather, the grandfather. He is the grandfather of our little trio here, but he is the grandfather of this podcast almost to some degree, and the fruit that is born.
Which is weird that we've never had him on to think about, honestly.
Not particularly. He's kind of a quiet guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But he would be epic because he was a Bible study leader. I went there in the fall of freshman year. One time Evan wasn't able to have his Bible study, but he invited us all to go to Alex's, and then Alex had his last Bible study last spring that I was able to go to as well. So some powerful testimonies from that guy. But yeah, as Evan said, when Cole asked this question, I was the one that was thought of him because that none of us, well, Cole and I probably would have met. I would assume so. I don't think Alex had an impact on Cole and I meeting, but us meeting Evan would not have happened without Alex, without him asking Evan to be a Bible study leader. And then I am pretty sure that Alex was the one who pointed us towards getting us in Evan's Bible study. So he had a big impact on that, of course, and then just being around him and just letting him impact you. And for me, I always say this when, like, he was one of the first people I met at Square One, and he was my Square One leader. And one of the things I told him was to see someone, if you don't know him or have never seen him before, he's a very large human being. He's a very muscular human being. And so And he had a beard and long hair, so he looked like a Viking to me. And so I told him, I was like, when I see this like giant Viking walking into Eucharistic adoration with the humbleness and the reverence towards the Eucharist, like that really shaped me. And just seeing that very practically of everyone bows to like Jesus, and everyone should be reverent towards him in the Eucharist. So that made a really big impact on me, seeing that like right when I came here as just a measly little freshman. So that was like one of the first interactions I have with him that I will always remember. So
Cool.
Yeah, Alex it's really cool. I think the thing that always struck me about him is that he was able to be goofy but also be reverent at the same time. Like he walks around with a lot of reverence in just the way he carries himself, the way he acts, his living as you say, as a Christian model. He does it very well, but he also
Christian
can
model physically.
Yeah, that too. But he also can be a bit of a goofy guy. He's fun. Like he's a cool dude, and he's a cool dude to hang around. And I think it's just really relatable. It makes him such a relatable guy, other than the fact of being absolutely ginormously
Yeah, no,
big.
we'll never be the size
We
of
won't
Alex,
ever
for
be
sure.
that
For
way,
sure.
which is okay.
Yeah.
I actually think the first person that directed me to Evan, because I think you were Alex, and I think Chris Dodd is the one that got me connected with you, funny enough. And he's requested to be on the podcast, and we still haven't had him on, so I need to.
And the
wow.
other thing I'll say is that I think we talk a lot about like finding good Catholics, and I know I've said this on an episode of like being a good Catholic doesn't mean like you're a good friend
Yeah.
or like a good person, right? Your trait as being a Catholic doesn't mean we have to be friends, right? Like you can still be friends to be friends. And so like he is really a person I found that like we're good friends who are also good Catholic friends, right? Like that's such a huge thing. That's such a huge thing. So that's exactly what I talk about when I say Catholic people. Like all Catholics don't have to be your friends. Like you just don't have to be Catholic with them just because they're Catholic. Be Catholic with them because you like them and you want to be their friend.
It's cool when you find both. There's actually something about Psalm 17:17. Hold up, I'm gonna look it up.
So Cole is pulling out a Bible verse that hopefully will be correct. It says,
No, I think I'm wrong. Wait,
Cole
no,
was
I might be
Psalm
right.
17:17.
Am I right? Or is it Proverbs 17:17? Hold up.
I don't know.
Pretty
What does
sure
it
you're talking
say?
about Proverbs 27:17. If you're
Nope,
talking
it's
about
Proverbs
iron.
17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born from a time of adversity.
Yeah.
And it's cool when you get somebody that fulfills both of those things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to move on to our final thoughts, and one final thought that I just thought about was talking about our progress. We are going to be going back to fully virtual podcast here within the next few days, actually. So we'll all have like a computer ourselves. So me being the only one to look things up will hopefully be over. We'll all be able to look up on our computer. So that will make things hopefully a little bit smoother and just a little bit swifter, I'll say.
More intelligent conversations with the
which-
media at our hands.
Because Cole, when Cole pulls up his computer, he'll pull out, a whole decade of the, catechism. We're sitting there for about
Yup.
3 minutes.
Yup.
Okay, Cole, here we go. Shout out. But hopefully those will be, good times. But we have enjoyed being with you here in the Sabin Center Library, chatting it up. Hope you've enjoyed the time here listening to the podcast. I will say, closing things out, that obviously I have a different viewpoint because I am departing from Tuscaloosa. But I finished my exam today, and I was walking back, and I didn't really feel anything crazy special about being done with undergrad in terms of being done with school. And I was sitting there in adoration after, and I was like, the end goal, the finish line is really not always that great.
It's not as shiny as you think it is.
It's not.
No.
And so I was sitting there like, the journey truly is better. But within that, there are chances to start over again within the journey. The journey is not one straight line. The journey goes all over the place through sweaty rainforest, through the dryness of the desert. It goes anywhere. And you just have to be prepared and enjoy it for what it is, because at some point it will end, and when it ends, you will, look back on it, and to learn to look back on it with the joy and reverence of what it was is pretty cool. So that was what I would say here to close things out. I'm going to flip it over to Cole to give his final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really ready for this, but Yeah, I think it's really cool to look back at the beginning and see all the steps we've taken as a podcast. See each time we had something cool happen. From the first time we had a guest on to the first time we had a new member initiated. Not that I don't know if we ever will have another one, but a new member added to the podcast, to a mic upgrade, to just slowly watching our conversations grow more and more vulnerable, more and more intelligent, more and more relatable. And I remember the first time that I listened to an episode, and I was like, wow, that was like transformative just to listen to. And I was like, I know I've talked about this there, but like even going back and listening again, because I listened to every episode back for editing purposes over the summer, I was like, that was good. And I think the first time that I had that, I was like, wow, we're doing something good, and I can see the fruits produced by it just in myself as one of the members here. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for the times that I've gotten to spend with you guys physically in person. I don't know what this will look like going forward throughout everything else, if we'll do it again, if Evan and I will record, since we'll be near each other. I don't know what it looks like, but the growth and the journey has truly been something that I've enjoyed and I've loved. But yeah, so thank you guys for this.
I don't really have final thoughts like that. The final thoughts I do have are just take it as it goes, I think, is like the biggest thing that going back to your question from earlier about like the biggest thing that I've learned, like you don't know what's next. And so like you got to take now with what you can do now. You can't take now with skills you're going to learn in 20 years, right? Or you can't take now and say, hold on, let me wait like a month or two and then we'll take on now. Like now is now. It's here. And so in that vein, right, if you feel unprepared for something, prepare. If you feel like you ought to be doing better about something, then do better. If you feel like, I can do this, I can do that, then do it. There's no point to wait till tomorrow. Do not put off tomorrow what can be done today. I'm pretty sure that's Teddy Roosevelt or FDR maybe. But also you don't know what tomorrow is, right? Like you don't know if you're going to be alive tomorrow. And so if you have something that you want to do, the journey may end before you know it. And so do it before the journey ends. Really, yeah.
So as with the tradition of the podcast, my job here at the end is to remind you guys that
look at the camera,
that we have merchandise. We have T-shirts that you can find in a link on our bio on Instagram, and I will be highly encouraging our final member of the podcast to buy one this summer, and to be able to wear it. Anyways, we have plenty of options. There's burnt sienna, there's gray, there's white, there's blue.
There's the tan, the sand, which is my personal favorite.
You know what, Cole? That's what I want for my graduation is you to buy me the Lost Sheep Podcast T-shirt.
You need to buy Nazario a
I'll
Lost
get
Sheep
that for
Podcast.
you.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. You guys send me your color.
And we have.
You guys send me your color.
Oh yeah.
I want you to pick, actually.
All right.
Okay. Well, there you go. Everyone will have a T-shirt. We also have wristbands that you can ask me literally anytime, and I will be like, oh, we have them in my car. They just sit in my car waiting for people to ask for them. And I'll get rid of some. Most of the time it happens when they see me wearing it, and I'm like, oh, you want it? And then I give it to them, and I put another one on. So yeah, if you want a wristband, let me know. I can hook you up. We also have an Instagram account with all sorts of cool content, reels, whatever it is, fun little trends that I like to hop on here and there, just to see what happens. But yeah, you can also subscribe, comment on this video, and find us on all audio platforms pretty much. Not sure if there's one that we're not on. Basically, if you look our name up, we are on something. So be looking at that. Look ahead for the summer. Excited for what is in front of us.
Yep.
We have exciting guests that are potential, and if they hop on, it'd be really, really cool. So pray for that. We are excited to see what the future holds with that. But yeah, Nazario, I'll let you finish this out, Mr. Senior over there.
I mean, you were close. You did everything.
No, Mr. Senior, I want you to do it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Lost Sheep podcast. I'm Nazario Pangallo. That's Cole Bissett. That's Evan Bear. We'll see you next week. God bless.